All right. Hello, hello, all. And I am alone, so I don't know why waiting for someone else. Um, Hi. We're on Raging Loop tonight. I'm Kels. I'm the obviously the person behind the controller. And yeah, I don't have anything interesting to say as per normal. My hand still hurts, so but I don't have to use a joystick today, so that will hopefully help a little bit. Um, I'm gonna be talking a lot anyways, so let's just go into the recap and get started with it. So, the recap the reporters were killed by the reportedly three werewolves, and we got locked in a cage while the village had a feast to discuss the backstory about the various animal guardians for their Religions Among Us game, which Tiemi relayed to us along with the history of ostracization and lynching. Mochi told us that he and the old man are eccentric, and that's why he cross dresses, about how we butted into Haru's love triangle with Yasunaga, and that Takumi is the snake. We also met Rikako, the priestess who is taking care of Meiko, and her family is associated with the spider that protects a person. Wolves kill at night and humans kill at day. The crow confirms between humans and wolves killed in the day, monkeys confirm humans, snakes investigate a person, and badgers work for wolves. Rule breakers are hit with the corruption. We wandered through the fog and came across the corpse of Kanzo with its head destroyed. We deduced that he let someone in that he trusted who then killed him. The crime scene is suspiciously wet. Someone took a bite out of Yoshitsugu, and we found Haru injured after trying to escape and brought her back. So we did a lot last time. Okay. So I guess we will go here. Sorry about your brother. I don't remember any of the voices that I did for this, which is the problem when I go months between these streams. Um, Thank you. That makes it a bit better for him and I. That's a very mature way to talk about it. Maybe I should have sounded more my age then. This boy was already pretty mature. You didn't get along with him? That's not it. We didn't always see eye to eye, especially recently, but he was a really good guy. I think so too. It seemed like deep down, the tough guy routine was really just an act. Did he get along with your mother? He did. Despite all he said, he really loved her, and she probably loved him more than me. Oh, that's not what I was asking. Sorry. All human relations were complicated. Prying too deeply wasn't a good idea. I'm sorry. What did you want to know? A few things, mostly about the legend. Tae-san's the better person for that. I need the opinion of someone more rational. First question, why do you think the wolves kill the humans? Because they're angry at humans for tricking and killing them. Okay, let me rephrase that. Why do the people, given the role of the wolf, suddenly become able to kill their friends and family with no remorse? Huh? Uh, 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 are you suspicious of Harutan and I? Oh, no, sorry, that's not it. We have the absolute, like, subtlety of a truck. I want you to look at this from a general perspective. Say you've been told that you're a wolf. Could you just accept it and start killing people? No way. Exactly. No way you could. Of course, there are those who could, but most couldn't, either out of fear or guilt. Mochi is a good example. The people here are afraid of certain things, but they do have lines drawn in the sand. If the lives of those they care about are on the line, they won't hesitate to face the corruption and the wolves. That's only because Mochi is special. He's a genius. Genius? Yeah, he can easily make predictions and decisions normal people can't, and he'll readily throw away anyone or anything he doesn't care about. Everyone else thinks he's just weird, but I think he's a genius. There we go. My own mother thought I was a monster. She was right, of course, but it still hurt. I see. I think I agree with you there. But anyway, what I'm saying is that you people aren't the types to magically become murderers just because of some corruption. Of course, there'd be people who'd do it because the corruption would come for them even if they didn't, but even they wouldn't do it without hesitation. But the wolves we're dealing with aren't hesitating at all.
I don't know where you're going with this, but I think it depends on the personality of whoever the wolf is. It'd be easy for people who never had any aversion to killing.
Okay, guys, there's like a whole 8 people in your village or something like that. Like, do you have some people that you are like, yeah, I think he'd murder me if he had a good reason to? Like, what? But there are 2 wolves, right?
Yeah, seems that way.
I see. So let me ask you this. Then, does Yasumizu have more than one person that capable of murder?
Mm,
One psycho in a group of people I could see, but 2 seems pretty unlikely. I think a better assumption is that there's some way to turn even an ordinary person into a ruthless killer. If that isn't true, the lack of infighting doesn't make sense under the current circumstances.
when you put it like that, this is just something I heard from a teacher at school, but you could do it by giving them something to fight for, couldn't you?
Huh?
Basically, you need to make them think that they're doing the right thing.
The the wolves are doing the right thing. I see. That's an interesting way to look at it. It's how countries convince their people to go to war.
Yeah, that's what the lesson was about, but I think that your perspective is a bit flawed.
What do you mean?
For example, most of the girls in this settlement are timid and prefer to leave the big decisions to the men. Even Haruchan's like that. So, if the wolves are a man and a woman, it's entirely possible that the man's taking the lead and doing the killing, while the woman is just following along.
We're really into feminism here. Um, there we go. The random number generator just decides who the imposters are, and they don't need more motive than that. But thank you.
Also, for all we know, the wolves could be arguing all the time and they just didn't happen to hesitate in killing this one time.
Yeah, good point. But I do think that there's some secret to why this feast's lasted so long. Traditions like these usually die out. It makes me think that there must be a way to ensure the killings continue. Your idea is certainly interesting.
I don't think you should call it interesting. Not in a situation like this.
Oh, sorry about that. That was insincere of me. Let me ask you one more thing then.
Go ahead.
I was working under the assumption that nothing particularly strange is happening here. The background music coming back scared me so bad. Um, but what about you? Do you think there's something mysterious going on?
I don't want to believe it, but I think there is.
Hmm. Why is that? Did you see a god or monsters or something?
No, it's hard to put into words, but the fact that the mist appeared when we had a whole 4 outsiders here made it feel like there was a higher power at work. No matter how I look at it, I don't think mist like this could have been produced by human hands. Not to mention that it's strange how the wolves can enter sheltered houses and kill the people there. There's also the fact that if one of us killed someone, you'd see a change in their behavior, or some evidence would be left behind. We can't explain those things, so yes, I do think there's something mysterious going on.
Oh, I see. All right. Sorry for asking such a weird question. By the way, who do you think are the wolves?
Haruaki Fusaishi-san.
He cut me off with a stern voice.
Sorry, but that is something we talk about in the feast. You don't have the right to ask that.
Oh, my bad.
Listen, we'll hold the feast to decide which one of us we should sacrifice today. It's important to propose who we think is suspicious, but it's also very dangerous. Something we said outside of the feast could be used against us and become a fatal mistake. The fact that you asked me that makes me feel like someone's maliciously using you against me. Please stop.
Good point. I'm sorry. Really. I know. The interesting in parentheses, it was like, oh, 428, like, we're about to jump. But no, we're sticking with our current one.
Oh, but now I won't blindly believe that you're an ill omen, but I won't stop suspecting that you're involved somehow. If I ever find out you had something to do with Yoshitsugu's death,
You'll what? He glared at me.
I'll have to avenge my little brother.
I see. Of course you would. I'll just head to the cage and do my best to be as unsuspicious as possible.
Oh, you shouldn't do that.
Why?
Today's feast might drag on until evening. It might be too late by then. You should go to your room in the dorm and ask someone outside to block the door handle with a stick.
I see. Good idea. This boy was really smart. If Takumi Muroshi was a site foreman type, he was a manager type. I could see a talent for using people.
Can I ask something too?
Of course.
Do you like Tiene?
Whoa. Hmm. From a political standpoint, I should say no, but yeah, she's likable.
I see.
Well, she seems pretty available, so she'd probably date me if I, or anyone else, asked.
Oh, are you being considerate of me? I had a feeling that Mochi told you something weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that. What I felt for her is a thing of the past. She was the only older girl around these parts, so I was attracted to her. That's all. This place was gloomy and serious, and she was the only free spirited person here. She's as amazing as Mochi.
You're saying she was a rascal.
Yes,
So much so that she almost killed someone? What the fuck? Hold on.
well, it was an accident. Though it's strange you think she's available. Tiene is actually pretty shy.
Is she now?
Or maybe she just changed a lot during her 3 years of college. So, yeah, I've already gotten over her.
Now I feel like you're the one being weirdly considerate. That's not healthy, you know? It's all good if you like her.
This is hardly the time or place for that.
Good point. That was it, huh? There we go. The rules say
Our group chat has to be muted until someone calls a meeting. Don't be a cheater, Haruaki-san.
eventually everyone gathered and went to the hall. Just as I was told, I asked for them to lock me in my room. After getting everyone, including Takumi-san and Taya-san, to understand, Yasunaga-kun, Tiemi, and I went to the dorm.
Tiene, you think he can jump from the window to the branches? No way. Even if he made it down, he couldn't get back.
The two verified how secure a place this was to lock me up in. If they were the wolves, it'd be impossible to outwit them. Humans stood no chance.
Anyway, we're locking you in. We'll come open it up if we have the time, but you might end up staying like this until morning.
All right, fine by me. It's gonna be hard, but I hope you do well.
Thanks. Sorry you're caught up in the problems of such a crappy village.
I'm more worried about you.
Wow, isn't that nice? I'll do my best. All done? We're locking you in then.
Yeah. You be careful too, Yasunaga-kun. You're now your mother's only child. That seems like horrifically inconsiderate to bring up, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
And so the door was closed. I could hear them set up the stick. So far, the only ones I'd talked to face were Tiemi, Takumi-san, Mochi, and Yasunaga-kun. Just four. The ones I hadn't talked to were Tae Yamawaki, Rikaka Uematsu, Meiko, Kaori Oribe, Harumakishima, Kyonosuke no Sato, the old wolf guy, a whole seven. I had no idea if there was significance in that, but I wanted to know what kind of people they all were. 4 people had already died, and if you ignored me, there were 11 left. Once the snake revealed what Kyonosuke was, he and the snake, Takumi-san, would be the only ones with confirmed roles. The other 9 would be suspects. When one was hanged, there'd be 8, and when died in the night, there'd be 7, which was still quite a lot. They had to hurry before it was too late. The humans had to act now.
Hello.
Whoa, what? The supposedly fixed door slightly opened up. It was Jamie.
I forgot, but I might not get to give you dinner, so have this at least.
She threw me a yellow food box, the kind you could find in any convenience store. Thanks. Seriously.
Don't mind it.
Oh, by the way,
Oh, what?
tell the monkeys to reveal themselves.
Uh, why?
Think about it. You'll understand. And you know you have to do something before it's too late.
Janet, what are you doing?
There's no time. Go.
Yeah, okay.
She closed the door and put the stick back. All right, what next? Yeah, the humans have to complete their tasks and fill the bar.
Haru-chan, is your wound all right? It's fine. I know it's not a good time to ask, but what happened? It was pretty bad, I'll tell you that much. Whatever, let's just start. Everyone had a drink. Let's begin the feast of the Omi Purge. Let's get to it. Takamini, did the snake's power work last night?
Yeah, it did.
Well, tell us.
Kyo is a human. Of course I'm no wolf. That means Muro and I are no longer suspects, right?
It does.
Let's look at what we have to decide today. If we continue based on the late Kanzo Maximasi's decisions,
Hold on, why are you taking the lead?
I don't mind it if the eldest, Yamawaki-san, wants to take over. I'm no good at that. In that case, it's only natural that myself and Muro, adults confirmed to be human, should be the ones to lead.
Takamini, he's annoying. You lead.
No. Kyo, keep going. He's still shocked from the elder's death, no need to force him. But I will do everything I can in his place. Muro, you console Madame Oribe.
My boy, he...
Kaori-san. Here is my proposal. Let's do whatever we can to choose and hang someone today.
Hold on, that's too reckless. But it's necessary. If we don't, the wolves will eventually kill the last human.
Exactly. We'll have to harden our hearts if we want to survive the feast. Am I wrong, Yamawaki-san? You're right. The Yomibito must be hung. There we go. I don't think he's sus, but he's being annoying, so I want to vote him out. Isn't that how everyone else plays Among Us, or just me?
One soul per day now to bind. What if we make a mistake? Even if we kept it secret, we'd have to live with the guilt of having killed someone.
It's true that that would be unpleasant, but such deaths wouldn't be in vain.
What the hell? If we kill the wrong person, their death would be pointless. That's obvious.
Watch your words when talking to your superiors. Listen, for now, we only have two surefire ways to get rid of suspects. Surely you understand, Yasunaga-kun.
Yes, the snake's power. Or killing someone and lowering the total number, huh? I know that, but do you really think we can all agree on someone? We can't do that. Do you think the one who gets killed cared which side wins?
That's why we need to reach a consensus here. We need to agree that if the others survive, I don't mind dying.
Huh?
Is that seriously all we have? Yes, that's all we have. The laws of the mountain remain merciless.
What the hell? I'm not getting hanged for someone else's sake.
Oh, that would make you a wolf, wouldn't it?
Why? You have no intention to put your life on the line for Yasumizu, and that makes you Yasumizu's enemy. Is that what you're saying?
Am I wrong? People of Yasumizu, this is a test of your unity.
You sure seem to be enjoying yourself.
I'm only giving advice as someone from Kamifutiyoshi and as someone whose suspicions were lifted. Be silent.
Kiyonosuke no Sato-san, you were quiet about this until the snake looked into you, right?
What are you getting at?
You already knew we had to be unified and accept death if it was necessary, didn't you? But you also knew that saying that would have made the snake's power way more popular, so you stayed quiet.
That's just an assumption.
She's right, though. A Kamifutiyoshi guy who's no longer a suspect telling us to die and be okay with it? As if we can just accept that. Takamini, you say something too.
But he's right.
Takamini? I agree with him as well. Suspect me, hang me. Whatever your decision, I will accept it.
Nikako-san.
As I said before, in this situation, Kamifutiyoshi and Yasumizu are irrelevant. Not to mention, I know it might be impudent of me, but I believe myself to be part of Yasumizu. Oh, look at that, a respectable attitude. Something a certain someone here doesn't have. However, I do think that expecting that of this girl would be a bit much. You're all scary.
But we have no choice. There can be no exceptions.
Then, if you decide to hang her, I shall go with her.
What? You mustn't! Only need the blood of one per day.
I just have to die of my own volition. The corruption comes only for the sinner. If I'm already dead, then it no longer matters.
But you're being a pain, Kyo. If you're gonna lead, do it right. And Uematsu,
Yes? Yes?
think about what you're saying. Sorry, but you're ahead of Kami Fujiyoshi, one of our oppressors. Takumi, don't be rude to Uematsu-sama. See? You people are the reason why Batan got so scared. Don't act like you're one of us.
My sincerest apologies.
And why are you in Yasumizu anyway? Honestly, I'm inclined to just start leveling accusations at this point.
Takamine, are you saying all of this is Kami Fujiyoshi's doing?
Who knows? Maybe not all of it. But their efforts to keep us here show that they know something is up, don't they? At the very least, I can't believe some guys who think the feast is just an old wives' tale and that the wolves are really on the human side. They knew that the people of Yasumizu would die if the mist came. They deprive us not only of our prosperity, but even our lives. Slander! I won't say that Kami Fujiyoshi is a group of saints, but they're a resourceful and dignified people. Not to mention sensible. It's the age where science reigns supreme. Of course they don't believe in some old superstition.
Isn't that the reason why?
What do you mean?
They didn't tell you all the secrets Fujiyoshi had to offer. That's only because your only value to your family is your belief that the family heads are upstanding people and that you don't shut up about it.
Huh?
Isn't that why they forced you to stay in the Nosato mansion when you returned, despite all the dangers here in Yasumizu?
Now you're crossing the line. Are you saying my family abandoned me? We have gone so far off the track. Like, who cares what a wolf is? We just want to stomp on Nosato.
Hey, that seems plausible. You're just like Yasun and I.
The heads are cruel.
Those who lose the struggle for power, those deemed incapable, or simply those who dislike the ones in charge can simply be sent here. Our situation is one thing, but Mom, she came here all the way from Tohoku and married into the Higuchi family, but got thrown out the moment Dad died. I didn't care about that. Mom, sorry, I didn't mean to. I was fine as long as I had Yoshitsugu and you, Yasunaga. Anyway, there's no doubt that they twisted our fates. I agree with Takumi on that. Too bad you're stuck here too, huh? I'm not blaming Yasumizu's people. What's gotten into you? We're all gonna die anyway. Oji-tan was acting all tough, but even he died so easily. I can't take this. Why didn't you just leave me there? You weren't like this back then. What's wrong? I've just had enough. How sad.
What's wrong?
When the wolves came, everyone becomes demons.
That they do. That's why we need to hang the Yomibito. What a mess. Whatever, at least we know that Kami Fujiyoshi's people won't come and save us.
The road was blocked.
That's one reason. Anyway, I do think we should trust Kyo now. My reason's the same as Chiami's.
Oh, dear. How sad.
Think what you want. Anyway, when we have to hang someone, Uematsu's the easiest target. Keep acting like that, and you'll be dead in no time.
Then what should I...
Just be honest and tell us what you know. Keeping quiet is the worst, and letting others take care of it won't do either. Right, Kyo? Why not just take control of the feast, Muro? I just tried acting like the old man. That ain't me. I'll leave the rest up to you. I don't have much left to say. Let's just hold a vote and hang whoever ends up being picked.
I'm telling you, that's too reckless.
Of course, you are free to argue your case, especially if you can prove you're more valuable alive. However, I don't want to hear any "I'm human" or "I don't want to die" non-arguments. Everyone would say that. The chosen one gives up and gives his life, leaving the fate of Yasumizu to the rest of us.
We'll hang at the hanging pine.
That should do the job.
How do we vote?
We'll start with the elders. You can have brief interviews, too. When the voter decides, I'll record it in my notepad.
Huh? It's not anonymous? No way! We'll basically be telling people to die straight to their faces.
I've had enough of Serizawa's nitpicking. I'm starting. So, what's your name?
That's the old guy.
The old man who cried wolf.
He's been old when I was still young.
I love how we're all over here like, yeah, Nikoko is the sus one when this man is just talking nonsense over here. Do you understand what I'm saying, sir?
Ah.
Which one of us do you think is a wolf?
Ah. Huh? Me? Why? Wolf. Scary. Scary.
One vote for Chiemi Serizawa.
Oh, hold on. Are we seriously deciding who to kill like this?
We have no choice. He's a participant too. We can't deny his right to vote, can we?
Takumi-nichan, say something.
Yasunaga, what do you think?
I'll wait and see.
There we go. This guy thinks he can say whatever he wants just because we all saw his medpay scan.
Same here. Wait, are you really? So now it's me.
I think I should vote for Chi-chan too.
Why? Taebatang.
I'm sorry. I just don't know. But it's strange how you're so mad about everything here. If the others survive, I don't mind dying.
Oh, I hear that, but I won't agree. Yasumi's people are important to me, but so is my life. Not to mention, I know I'm not a wolf, so I'm not just gonna roll over and die. Sure, I'll follow the rules. If I keep this up, I'll just get killed, not to mention we don't have any better options. Here, Taibatang, I've calmed down. Can you change your vote?
Should I?
You know what? Fine. It was my own fault for acting weird.
Are you done? Muro, it's your turn. I'm voting for Meiko.
Takumi-nichan. You...
Do I even need to give a reason? I know she's a kid, but we basically know nothing about her. It's just way too weird. I don't know how true the legends are, but if something fishy comes from Saranaga, it's only fair to think she's fishy too.
Takumi-nichan, if that's how it worked, what would be the point of this bothersome feast? I don't think we should decide based on that either.
Even if she didn't come from Saranaga, we still don't know who or what she is. Think about it this way. What if this little girl really was a wolf? If we all ignored her just because she's a kid, she'd kill us all. Do you get that? Looks like you're thinking too, Muro. Next, Madame Moribe.
Haru Makishima-san.
Mom?
Why me? Why not? Just tell me then. Why did you try to run away today? You were feeling guilty over killing your grandfather in Yoshitsugu, weren't you? No, that's not it! Then why? 'Cause I was scared. I didn't want to stay here. Lies.
Kaori-san, stop! His death hurt all of us. Even me. And Haru. All of us hurt. Oribe-san, what will you do with your vote? Haru Makishima it is. I'm next, and I'm voting for the nameless old man.
Huh?
Huh?
But why?
That last exchange made me realize that he's not rational. We don't need someone like that around.
That's so unfair.
He regularly said that the wolves were coming even before all this happened. That's more than enough to find him suspicious. Still unfair? I think he's either completely insane or secretly knows something. Have you ever considered that there were feasts before this one? He should have been around for at least one. But I haven't, and I'm over 70. But he could have, no? He's older than you, after all. He could know something, but might be unable to say it because of senility, or might be hiding it out of malice. With this vote, I might be able to get info out of him, and if not, he's worthless.
Worthless? Is it truly right to hang people based on whether they have worth at that particular moment?
You say that, but if we continue, we will make more progress tomorrow. I hate that I had the same thought as Nosato. Like, There we go. He's throwing us off track, even if he's not sus. He might as well just be the third imposter.
What do you mean?
Today, Muro will use his power to investigate someone. We'll know the truth about another person. The spider will once again protect Muro. By repeating this, it'll only take 3 times to know who's a wolf and who's not, even if we guess wrong.
Really? In one day, we'll hang someone will get killed by the wolves, and the snake will reveal another person. We'll find out about 3 people in one day, and since all the 11 besides Takuminita and Osato-san are unknown, it'll take 3 or 4 times?
Exactly. We'll only have to hang 3 people at most. With that in mind, if you don't want to hang those close to you, you should start with those who aren't. It's for the good of Yasumizu. Now listen here. I'm arguing to maximize the happiness of the majority, Muro.
No, Sato-san, are you serious?
What?
Tienetan's math only works out if the wolves only kill people that the snake hasn't checked. What if they only went after those whose identities were already confirmed? For example, what if they went for you tonight? I don't think I can agree with voting based on such a flawed conclusion.
Don't you think you're being too easy on the idea of killing your own?
I haven't said anything about killing my own. I'd never say that. Oh man.
Well, there were some mistakes there, but we're already voting. I'm leaving your decisions to you. Next up is Rikako Uematsu-san, right?
Going by seating order, I'm next. How troubling. I don't have enough info to go on. Why are you so calm? I'll make a mistake otherwise. That's why you and Mom should calm down. Please. Hold on, Yasukun. Sorry to cut you off, but I just had an idea. What? Can the monkeys reveal themselves?
Why would they? Yasunaga-kun and Sir Makishima said it'd be best if they don't present themselves.
Well, I was thinking the same thing at first, but what's the point of the monkeys then? They just know who the other monkey is, right? It's not like they get any new info later. That's true. The only use I can think of for them is for catching fake snakes. But they can confirm who the other monkey is. So they can be confirmed as non-wolves just as easily as those who investigated by the snake, right?
What if they lie?
Lying would be too risky. For example, I'm not a monkey, but if I went, "Hello, I'm a monkey," what would you do?
I'd say, tell me who the other one is.
Exactly, but I couldn't say it because I'd be lying. Now, for example, if I said, "All right, it's Motsi," then... how did you know? Don't joke around. Well, I can't prove it, can I?
I see. But what if he played along because he thought being a monkey would make him safe?
The real monkeys would call him out, and then we'd all hang 4, one after another, to be sure.
That's...
The rule of thumb is that only wolves would try to lie to survive. So that's the right thing to do, isn't it, Nosato-san?
That's true. Once you clarify that's what would happen, you shouldn't get anyone pretending to be a monkey.
I see. It's too dangerous for both humans and wolves. It's just not worth it. Does everyone understand? Looks like it. Then please name yourselves. We'll lose 2 suspects. Right here! What is it, Motsi? I'm saying that I'm a monkey. You're not just dragging out the joke? Yes, yep, I'm a monkey.
So, like we agreed, who's the other monkey?
Meiko-chan.
Huh?
Meiko-chan, is that true? What? When you woke up, was there something on your stomach? There was! A monkey! She knows the symbols? Yes, I taught them to her, alongside prayer to Shinnai. We have any other monkeys? Doesn't look like it. That confirms it.
I see. So they really are monkeys. Crap. So I wasted my vote.
I think he should be given a do-over.
You want to bend the rules?
It's best to make it impossible to retract votes. We'd have too many people trying to change their votes at the last minute.
Good point. Fine.
Sorry about interrupting. Back to Yasukun. I'll vote for the old man. For the old wolf man. My reason is that I think staying silent and doing nothing indirectly helps the wolves. I'm next. 1,000,000 votes on Taiba.
What? One vote each.
Then 1 vote for Taiba. I just found it weird how she just voted for Tiana out of nowhere.
What? What are you saying, boy? That's why you youngins are such good for nothings.
I'm next. All right. 1 vote for the old guy.
So even you went for him.
Shut up. My reason is that I don't have any better ideas right now. That's it. Haru-chan's turn. I'll vote for Uematsu-san. You had to have been the one who brought the corruption. No, I am only here to fulfill my role. Then just do that and take in the corruption. You're not doing that because you're a wolf, aren't you?
Watch your tongue.
I cannot disagree. I'm powerless.
You don't have to humble yourself before these people. It's your turn. The person who voted for you must be suspicious.
Listen to this guy. I will vote for Yasunaga Oribe-san. You. I do not find him suspicious, but I just had a thought. There would be no worse possible occurrence than were he to be a wolf. I did say a lot. I can't blame you for thinking I'm just tricking people. But I don't think I said anything wrong. At least, I didn't intend to. I don't mind if you vote for me. So, I believe that votes to express your outlooks are important as well.
The Wolfman is at the top with 3 votes. You there, child. You're the last one.
Meiko-chan, do you understand? I need to choose the wolf. Yes. Her. Me? Wait, seriously? You're scary. I'm scared of you, too.
We need a final vote. The 9 people, besides Chiemi Serizawa and the old Wolfman, will vote for one of those 2.
The wolf is coming.
The results are in. Old Wolfman, 7 votes. Chiemi Serizawa, 2 votes.
Everyone besides Taiba and Meiko-chan all voted for the wolf guy.
Shut up. Are you ready, sir? We all decided this. Every one of us is equally guilty. Better get ready, old man. Do you understand?
I need time.
Huh?
Need to clean up.
You want to take care of your belongings? I believe we can allow that much.
What if he's planning to escape?
Haru-chan,
Then I'll keep an eye on him.
you do that. As soon as he returns, we will take him to Saranaga. Rikako-san, where's the rope?
Right here.
It was already evening. As I whiled away the time with some fruitless contemplation, I heard noises outside that brought me back to reality. People were shouting loudly. What's wrong? I opened the window and shouted. It was facing the cliff, so I couldn't shout to the settlement directly. They probably didn't hear me since I didn't get a response. What happened? So I shouted even louder. I love when they don't tell me who it is. Fusaishi, stay right where the fuck you are! Huh? Was I about to get punched? What happened? I could only repeat myself. It's dangerous right now. It was? What do you mean? I didn't get a reply this time. I only heard several voices clamoring. Then I heard someone hurry up the dorm stairs. Who's there? I got no response again. What was happening here? Someone was definitely close. It just made me more tense. Oh, Haruaki-san! Wow, Tammy yet again? What a twist. What's that supposed to mean? Sorry, but you should stay there right now. This might be really bad. Her voice was cut off by a scream, though it was more like intense cursing. It was Takumi-san's voice, no doubt about it. Tammy left without saying another word. Huh? Oh, hold on, open up! I fought the door, but it showed no signs of opening. I can help, damn it! Shit. Like hell I was gonna stay out of the loop any longer. Turning around, I went to the open window and decided to try jumping out. Though I was on the 2nd floor, it wasn't too high of a drop. It'd make my legs a little numb, but so what? I jumped out without any hesitation. I properly bent my knees, so I didn't hurt myself at all. Then I ran to the settlement where I'd heard the voices from. I quickly understood the cause of Takumi-san's shouting. They were cries of despair. The reason was somewhere downhill, along the way to the graveyard. It was a small grove of low trees with a carpet of leaf mold below. It would have been hard to see, even if there was no mist. You could hear running water nearby. I couldn't see where it came from, but it was probably an irrigation channel for the paddy fields. There was a small crowd gathered. I peeked through a space between them. Who's dead now? There were bodies. Two of them. One was of an old man, and the other that of a child. Though their appearances were vastly different, each was in a similar state. They lay on the ground with their hands over their stomachs, utterly still and covered in blood. These were the corpses of the old man who cried wolf and Chikamochi Kamoshida. No! Motang! I liked him! Why? What happened? Fusaishi, weren't you in the dorm? I was until now. Bullshit! You're the one who did this, aren't you? Huh? No, I'm not. I just came out of the dorm. I even talked to Tiami-tang.
Yeah, it's not Haruaki-san, Takumi-ni-chan.
Then who did this? Forget that. We need to treat... There's no point. Don't touch them. We might still make it. They've lost all their blood. Their stomachs are open and their guts are all over. What kind of treatment can bring them back, huh? You know one? Go on, then say it. There was nothing I could say in response. There were 5 of us on the scene. Chiemi Serizawa, Takumi Muro, me, as well as Yasunaga Oribe, who was vomiting on a nearby bush, and Nikako Uematsu, who was watching the remains from a distance. Yeah, Haruaki, I know CPR! I don't know anything else, but... Most were proactive, and I could see why they were here, but Nikako Uematsu felt a bit out of place. But then I remembered that we were already pretty short-handed. What happened? Who did this, damn it?
Look here.
She pointed to the old guy's clothes. There were gatherings of fur all over his garment. A werewolf. If that was the culprit, then this was the work of the corruption. Was that what she was saying? No. This was completely different from how the others had died. The fur proved little. Let me see the wound. I told you not to touch it. But this is completely different. Quit acting like you know shit. You never find out anything. But if we stop trying to look, we won't understand anything at all. Quit the act, outsider. Takumi-ni-chan, calm down. Shut up. Everything went to hell when he got here. If he didn't come, none of this... It felt like he was about to grab me. I could clearly see the intense emotion whirling in his eyes. I thought I could get him to trust me, but now it was back to square one. Mochi. Why? Why? Yasunaga Oribe calmed down a bit and faced the remains of his dear friend. His voice was shaking. The expression on the corpse was eerily pale and emotionless. Even a look of agony was absent. It almost looked like he was smiling. Did his face muscles simply go limp? This isn't the corruption. How do you know? I'll prove it if you let me pass. He glared at me with immense hatred before letting me through. Look away if you can't stomach this kind of thing. I walked up to the old guy's corpse. He looked as distant as always, but the lack of blood flowing in his face simply made his appearance even more creepy. I avoided looking at it while I grabbed his back and rolled him onto it. With a wet sound, entrails spilled from the wound in his stomach.
Ugh.
Ugh.
How horrid.
Don't force yourselves, people. Except you, Takumi-san. Look. The stomach was clearly torn open by a blade. This isn't some supernatural punishment. It was caused by a person wielding a weapon. And since there's no weapon nearby, it means that someone intentionally removed it from the scene. So Yasumizu has someone who's both armed and capable of an act like this. Please give me the details of what happened during the feast. What led to this? The old man who cried wolf was not an imposter. 2 imposters remain. With several people here to tell me, I ended up with a decent grasp of how today's feast went. Kiyonosuke had suggested they choose who to kill by vote. The wolf guy and Tiemi ended up with the same amount of votes, resulting in a tiebreaker vote. Most ended up voting for the wolf guy, sentencing him to death. He said he'd wanted to take care of something, so he and Chikamochi Kamoshida went out, while the rest stayed where they were. Were they really the only ones who left? Yeah. The feast was still going on at that point. Them leaving was an exception. You expected them to come back and resume the feast. What would have you have done then?
That isn't something we can tell an outsider.
Alright, but anyway, they didn't come back. How long did you wait for them? No more than an hour.
We started to worry and went out to search. Found them in less than 10 minutes.
So the culprit was one of those not present. Chiemi, Takumi-san, Yasunaga-kun, and Nikako Uematsu. The five in the hall, Nosatoshi, Kaori-san, Meiko, Haru-chan, and Taichi-san simply couldn't be responsible. So, someone killed the two, changed into some clean clothing, and came back to pretend to keep searching?
That's impossible.
Did you see each other while searching?
No, we split up to cover more ground.
Let's return to the hall. We then went back to the hall. Kyonosuke kept watch and confirmed that no one beside the victims and the search party had left the building. That limited the potential murderers to the search party and I. I asserted that I was still in the room when it all happened, and they believed me, for now. Though Takumi-san continued to suspect that I used some sort of trick to escape and commit the murders. Huh. That was fair, considering everyone else was with them, but I knew I wasn't the culprit. That left only one possibility. They died right after they left the hall. Then, someone removed the weapon. And you're still the only one who could have done it.
I'm telling you, I heard him in his room.
I'll say it as much as I have to. I'm innocent. And since I am, something else had to be responsible for their deaths.
I see you're avoiding using the word murder.
You noticed? I am. As it stands, this could be suicide, death by illness, or poison, followed by desecration of the corpses and removal of the weapon. How would doing something like that benefit us? If you ask me, things become much simpler if we assume you and Serizawa are partners in crime. Don't you think? I don't know, but doing that wouldn't benefit me either. Really? Tell me, is there any proof you didn't know each other before this?
Huh? We didn't, obviously, but what does that have to do with anything?
The people here believe in eerie legend. You could have come here to take advantage of that and pretend to be monsters to murder them for your enjoyment.
Please stop. There are some lines you shouldn't cross. Stop this, all of you.
Tae Yamawaki-san walked out of the hall. I could see Haru Makishima, Meiko, and Kaori Oribe behind her. That made a total of 10 survivors. 9 if you excluded me, who hadn't participated in the feast. Whoever killed Chikamochi and the Elder, they went against the laws. Shinai-sama will subject them to the corruption. She put her hands together in prayer and faced the peak of Mount Shinai, at the opposite side of Saranaga. Strangely enough, that was enough for everyone to fall silent. Rikako Uematsu joined in and Meiko copied her. This was the settlement's way of solving things. They gave up on discourse and just left it all in the hands of a higher power. But, what do we do now? One has already spilt blood for the day. The elder has died. Let's end the feast for the day and clean up. Alright. Yasunaga, help out. I can... You just sit still. The situation was only getting worse. There we go. As much as I'd like to be the Clyde to Tiami's Bonnie, we didn't do it. Soon after that, it was time to shelter, so everyone retreated to their houses. Takumi-san had entered my room and boarded my window completely shut. I mean, fair. If you're not the culprit, something's gonna happen even if you're locked in. His words were harsh, but there was a hint of composure. He might have actually believed that I wasn't the one who did it, or maybe he found peace in the idea that the mountain would punish the culprit. Or perhaps he just believed it was the work of something supernatural. Whatever the case, he was dwelling less and less on the matter. Was the wolf guy a wolf? I had no idea whether that was plausible. Assuming he wasn't, 2 of the remaining 9 were wolves. With Kyonosuke being a confirmed human, Takumi-san being the snake, and Meiko being a monkey, there were a whole 6 suspects. Thanks to my advice, Chiemi suggested the monkeys reveal themselves. Yes, I will give myself a pat on the back. But they turned out to be Chikamochi, Kamoshida, and Meiko. Though Mochi had just died. That was a heavy blow. Him being a confirmed non-wolf was one reason, but more than that, he was one of the few people here who actually talked to me without restraint. He was somewhat of an oddity compared to the rest of the people here, but I did find him to be a fun guy. I'd like to get back at whatever injustice had stolen his life. Exactly, I loved Mochi. How could they kill him? Clearing my head, I resumed thinking. Since she was acting suspicious today, Takumi-san would investigate Haru-san. Tomorrow, we'd have only 5 suspects. That'd give them decent chances of picking out the 2 wolves. It seemed to me like it wouldn't be that hard to find the murderers, who would surely be shaken by what they had done. And then the outed wolf, not wanting to die alone, would reveal their partner. That was the most optimistic way to look at it. From a pessimistic standpoint, though, the situation was absolutely terrible. 4 people had died today. In a normal feast of the Yomi Purge, it had to be 1 per day, 1 per night. This was double that. If things hadn't gone so well in the forest, even Haru Makishima might have died, not to mention the dreadful state Kaori Oribe was in. I was told their relationship had gotten worse. Kaori-san was in no state to prepare food, so it was likely no one had eaten anything today. The hunger would only worsen everyone's morale. It was best for them to prioritize getting a proper meal tomorrow. Even so, there was no guarantee we wouldn't get any more irregular deaths. I love how, like, Kaori-san is upset, therefore no one gets to eat. Like, there's so many adults here. People, like, learn how to make a meal. For example, someone at their wit's end could attack a wolf suspect despite the threat of corruption. If they ended up losing more humans while the number of wolves stayed the same, the humans would be done for either tomorrow or the day after. Escape. I'd been entertaining the idea ever since lunch. The path was ruined and I'd had to travel through an underdeveloped grove, but I hadn't run into anything supernatural there when searching for Haru-chan. Maybe I could get out as long as I watched where I was going? I also had Saranaga as another option. Everyone here hated it, but that just made it less likely for me to be caught. Going down a misty rocky cliff was dangerous, but at least it was a one-way road. I just had to be careful I didn't get taken by the currents, and it was definitely better than just staying here and dying. However, perhaps even suggesting that was dangerous. According to Rikako Uematsu, the effects of the corruption were limited to the ones who broke the laws, so you could escape them by killing yourself. However, if someone said they wanted to escape the village, the punishment would likely go to both the one attempting it as well as the ones who allowed it. The escape would surely become a hell of an experience then. However, there was an optimistic view of this situation. Something was actually here. Something abnormal was here in Yasumizu, killing and menacing its people using abnormal methods. At the very least, Yoshitsugu Oribe, who'd went to face it, suffered a horrible death. How is this optimistic? The superstitions weren't baseless, and it was best to look at the situation from that angle. My plan of escape contradicted that. But then, how could I prepare for whatever was to come? The best I could think of was trying to familiarize myself with Fujiyoshi's superstitions. Perhaps I could find some sort of weak point or hint that could lead me to their identity?
5. Prepare for the feast when the evening mists arrive.
The action rhyme they did was obviously referring to the Feast of the Miomi Purge. I couldn't remember all the lyrics, but I felt like there was quite a lot of info there. Perhaps there were more hints for the feast in Yasumizu's culture and general area. I felt I had to talk to Rikako Uematsu. She was an adult who seemed more involved in Fujiyoshi's prayers and stuff than most. I needed to arm myself with more info by tomorrow morning. That, along with the proper progression of the feast, were my only ways to survive. About today's feast, they must have decided to hang the wolf guy because they just didn't care about him all that much. Simple as that. Sure, it was important to get rid of the participants who weren't cooperative. However, the fact that we'd lost 6 people but they still hadn't gone beyond he or she is kinda shady was pretty bad. Yesterday, they wouldn't have hung anyone for such a petty reason. Well, the problem was that they hadn't hung anyone at all so far, but then again, it wouldn't be a good thing to give the impression it was okay to kill people for just seeming shady. This place was regressing back to a feudal, superstitious mental state. If there was something that could stop them from sinking there, it would be an outsider like me. And therefore, I will come in and save this entire culture. Yes, me. I sealed my resolve and waited for the night to pass.
Good evening!
Ah! I was so startled by the voice on the other side of the door that I momentarily screamed. What time was it? 7? It was too early for an attack and too late to walk around.
What's wrong with you? Are you gonna get punished if you don't sleep? I think another hour is fine. I was awake until 8 yesterday and nothing happened. I've been sleeping too much, honestly. I'm not tired, but I am really, really hungry.
Don't you have your food stocks?
With Kaori-san being, well, I decided not to touch it. Might share it with the others. We're all hungry today, so I'll just tough it out.
How upstanding.
You should eat, though.
What, the stuff from before? No, I'll pass. Why are you here anyway?
can't sleep.
Is that really it?
Haruaki-san, do you suspect me?
No.
Why?
Because you told them about the monkeys, knowing full well what it meant.
Hmm.
The Feast of the Yomi Purge is a well constructed communication game.
Well constructed.
I mean that there's no way to win this game beyond communication. Chikamochi-kun thought the same thing. To win, both the humans and the wolves need to have some tricks and individual strategies. Consider the monkeys. They seem useless at first, but you can use them to easily eliminate two suspects. And this is possible from day one, so they can become reliable leaders, though that'd be hard for Mochi and Meiko.
Yeah, he was a free spirit, and she's a child.
He was pretty young too, so there we go. It's not too late for a date though.
The wolves, on the other hand, have to go on the defensive. In a situation when being suspicious is enough to get yourself hanged, it's important not to draw attention to yourself.
That's easier said than done though.
Yeah, keeping your silence can be just as suspicious as being a blabbermouth.
Exactly. But there are two factors that make it easy to gauge trustworthiness right from the very start.
Do they have something to do with monkeys?
Yeah, you have to watch out for those who give bad advice or don't provide useful suggestions. A good example of the former is Kyonosuke-san. His poor planning threw everything into disarray, and that makes him really suspicious.
But he's confirmed to be human.
Right. Well, that's assuming Takumi-san wasn't lying about being the snake.
Huh? You're saying he could be lying?
It's not impossible. After all, anyone can say that they have a guardian. Honestly, if I were a wolf, I'd lay low until I killed a few and then claim to have a guardian to ensure my safety.
I see. But Takumi Need-san came out on the first day.
Yeah, that was basically suicidal, but since that allows the spider to protect him, it's like a telling blow that hurt the attacker. I think. Anyways, all things considered, I'd say it's safe to trust Takumi-san and Kyonosuke-shi. Personally, I think you're trustworthy too, since you spoke about the monkeys.
What if I only did it because I saw your game?
That'd be bad.
Wait, hold on. Aren't you basically saying you suspected me up until I spoke out about the monkeys?
Oh, you noticed.
This goddamn guy. What the hell, man? I did it because I wanted to believe you. All right, I forgive you then. Woohoo. So, who's the most suspicious one?
Haru-chan.
That's so.
She's not making much sense lately, and you can explain her shift in personality by assuming it's because she killed her granddad. Or maybe she couldn't agree with the other wolf on their decision to kill Kanzoshi and stop trusting anyone.
Oh, that makes sense.
You could make up 1,000 reasons like this, though. We couldn't just go by that. They'd said Haru hadn't gathered many votes, but they treated her like some kind of pariah, making it clear that everyone suspected her. It was only natural to use the snake to check on her. Though, she doesn't seem all that good in games and stuff. It probably wasn't fair to judge her purely on not making any useful contributions. In that regard, Yasukun is way more suspicious.
Huh? But he did say a lot, like pointing out my math was incorrect. And he did say something like what you said. Not doing anything indirectly helps the wolves or something like that. Not to mention that on the first day, he suggested that the spider should hide.
That's true. Though most of those things were minor, he was definitely contributing to the game. The first day was especially important. For the wolves, it was best to create a flow where they could just stay quiet and wait for those with guardians to out themselves. What bothered me was the fact that he wasn't the one who'd brought up the leader selection and the monkey thing. He was shady because he hadn't made those useful propositions. I don't know that I agree with that, but okay. I thought he'd figured out those things a while ago. Or maybe I, as an outsider, had just had a better grasp of the situation because I am clearly superior. There we go. Even if you are the wolf, we're ride or die. I guess he's innocent then. I don't know about the rest though. I can't even imagine what Rikako Matsu-san and Tai-san are thinking.
I know what you mean.
But if you looked at the circumstances outside the feast, Rikako Uematsu was pretty shady. It always felt like she was hinting at something. It wouldn't have surprised me if she knew more than she let on. If she was a village head, she could know things only those from Kamifujiyoshi knew. There was more than enough reason to suspect her. If only we could follow that lead and solve this whole thing. It'd make things way easier.
Haruaki-san, are you enjoying this?
No?
But you look like the type who likes mystery stories.
I won't deny that, but I can't really enjoy myself when people I care about and I are in danger. If I did act like some master detective, I'd really just be some useless amateur. It wouldn't accomplish anything.
I'm not sure I buy that.
What do you mean?
Everyone else is kind of a mess. I think most normal people would lose it in this kind of situation.
I could say the same about you.
I'm not exactly normal either.
Oh yeah, I heard you almost killed someone.
Who told you that?
That's a secret, though it didn't sound intentional.
Uh, well, how do I say it? I think it happened in middle school. I grabbed a bat and beat up some students who were bullying the Yasumizu kids.
Whoa.
Some of them were connected to the head family, so it became a big deal. And that's basically why the adults here are so harsh on me.
I see. So you fight out of a sense of justice. Do I look like I'm into true crime podcasts? He absolutely does look like he's into true crime podcasts. That and cryptocurrency, and I will not explain any further. So she was sent to Yasumizu for making enemies out of the village heads.
I wouldn't say that. It's more like I just have a short temper and wanted to make a scene.
Rebellious phase?
More or less. Same as Haruta and Yoshikun. In a place as rural as this, it's rare for children to grow up as level-headed as Yasukun, don't you think?
Really? I think they'd be healthier and nicer than the edgy brats from the city.
Let me rephrase that. In a place as poor as this.
Well, there was no doubt that Yasumizu was destitute. There were no cars, cell phones, and it really didn't even feel like it had an economy. They probably lived mostly off the land, making money from whatever they could spare from their farms and hunts. Since they had no decent way to sell stuff to anyone outside, most of their business had to be done through Kamifutsuyoshi. It was entirely likely that they were ripping them off. No way this place could be wealthy in these circumstances. I didn't believe that money could buy everything, but poverty took its toll on the people suffering it. Some could live in poverty while retaining their purity, but that was borderline saintly. It was a lifestyle too difficult for the common masses. Also, since the people of Yasumizu were ostracized from Kamifutsuyoshi, they were targets of unjust pressure from day one. I could understand why the children here strayed from the path. Though, when you looked at it like that, the way they strayed was so mild it was almost cute.
Are you disturbed now?
Not really.
You're lying. You now think I'm so blunt I'd whip out a blunt object to beat you up.
I'm just gonna ignore that poor attempt at a pun. Sorry. My ex wasn't any different.
Oh? I see.
You seem confused, and I have no idea why.
You weren't lying when you said you broke up with your girlfriend?
You thought I was?
I thought it was just some kind of pickup line.
That's just mean. Our breakup was insane. I actually felt like my life was in danger.
Whoa. Sorry to hear that.
What about you?
Huh?
Your history with guys. I shared mine, so hearing yours is only fair, right?
Yeah. Well.
How many did you go out with?
2? I guess?
What happened to you being a hyper slut who's done it with 53 guys?
I never said that. I did exaggerate a bit, but I did get tons of invitations.
And yet you only went out with 2.
Well, I didn't find many guys I got along with.
What about me?
Let's not go any farther. If I let myself get too attached, I'd be too scared of dying.
Being afraid of death is normal, though, isn't it?
Not really.
Why?
God is way scarier than death.
I feel like you have a very unusual image of God.
Really?
You think of it as something frightening that you might actually meet, right?
Everyone's met God. Maybe they just can't see it. And God really is scary. It's just no one knows how.
Myself included?
You're the only one I don't understand. That's probably why I'm afraid of losing you.
That's something you say to those you promise your eternal love to.
Are you mad?
A bit.
I see.
There we go. Hyperslut is a good one. We do not slut shame. We hyperslut celebrate here. We need to bring that into the rest of our streams because that is absolutely our energy. We've gotten this far, and you're still being cagey regarding your own background. You can only take playing hard to get so far until it gets annoying.
I'm just not sure what to do. This isn't easy for me either.
Just tell me everything.
I'm going back.
Tiemi,
Good night.
what the hell? Why didn't she talk? Did she still not trust me? Was she messing with me? Was she just kind of crazy? Or was it something else? Crap. I wanted to chase her down and get a real answer out of her, but I was locked in. This was so frustrating. Though this wasn't the time to worry about that. Who would the wolves go for tonight? The wolf guy was dead, meaning there was one less person who'd vote Tiemi out tomorrow. It wasn't likely she'd get top vote. It was best to think that the wolves would go for someone who was useful to the humans and couldn't be killed with the votes. That meant that she and Yasunaga-kun were the ones at highest risk. On the other hand, their survival would make things difficult in other ways. I'd probably be forced to consider the possibility that they themselves were wolves. Could I really trust Tiemi? I felt I could, but not completely. Whatever the case, a situation where the more talkative ones were seen as suspicious would make it harder for her to survive. Should I have talked to her about running away? No, that was probably pointless. I didn't know much about her whole god thing, but it was clear that escape wasn't even an option for her. Something scary that everyone had met, not yet full, yet not fully perceivable. Was she speaking figuratively? Or could she literally see something? There we go. She was definitely trying to hit on us. That was at least one of her goals. Unfortunately, then she followed it up with God is terrifying, which I feel is kind of a mood killer. Just gonna put that out there. Shit. I don't care. I became irritated. My hunger was starting to get to me. Figuring it was better than just wasting my mental energy, I focused on taking a bath and going to bed. I had no idea just how naive my predictions would prove to be. All right, 5:15, we made it to Thursday. I woke up at 5 in the morning. The window was still boarded up, so I couldn't see anything outside. All I could do was sit around and wait. Eventually, I could hear the objects keeping me in get removed, and I was greeted by Yasunaga Oribe and Tiemi Serizawa. Those two actually survived. I met up with Haru Makishima too. Her face was pale, and she had bags under her eyes. No one here looked healthy anymore, but she was beyond even that point. She had gone completely meek too. The defiance from yesterday was gone, and she was just letting Yasunaga-kun guide her. She'd lost another friend after all. Yeah, she's having a hard time. We arrived at the dining hall, but found no one there. The door was unlocked. That was a bad sign. It was Kanzo Makishima's place all over again. Mom should be sleeping upstairs. With that knowledge, I opened the door. What if she was attacked? Even if she wasn't, considering her state yesterday, it wasn't unlikely she did something unthinkable, such as suicide. However, I soon found out my worries were for nothing. Kaori-san was standing all alone in the dark dining hall wearing an apron. The fact that she wasn't doing anything but standing was just eerie.
Oh my. Good morning.
She turned around and greeted us. Her voice was the only thing calm about her. Her eyes were bloodshot, and signs of malnourishment were all across her face. Her faint, forced smile made her seem on the verge of collapse. She completely failed at acting normal. Her heart was probably swirling with panic and sorrow as great as yesterday. Everyone here could see it.
Mom, everyone's hungry. I'll make food, so you just rest. Huh? But I can do it myself. Oh, I'll help. I actually cook for myself, so I know what to do.
After they volunteered to support Kaori-san, I thought about what purpose I could serve here. Let's go. And called out to Haru-chan before going outside. She came with me, but wasn't saying a word. During yesterday's feast, she'd had a fight with Kaori-san. The woman had voted for Haru-chan due to the change in her attitude and failed escape attempt, and I couldn't blame her for that. Considering her personality, I imagined that the exchange had been extremely intense. That was why getting her out of the dining hall was a good move. Problem was, we didn't really have anything to talk about. This was made worse by the hostility she had shown me until just recently. According to Mochi, that was a product of her affection towards Yasunaga-kun and all the drama surrounding him. Normally, I'd playfully give her a hard time about that kind of thing, but it seemed in poor taste considering the situation. There we go. Chiemi knows how to cook. Her waifu score is high, man. She could murder us. She could be a wolf, but she knows how to cook and she's trying to hit on us, so... She was staring daggers at me. Maybe I just had to ask her? Haru Makishima-san. What? I'll be frank. Are you a wolf?
No!
She didn't hesitate at all. Not like that meant anything.
You don't believe me? Then Takamine will check. That'll show you.
Are you saying that despite knowing?
Huh? Knowing what?
If he were alive, he'd be the one looking after Kaori-san in the dining hall. Yesterday, he went there first thing in the morning. With Kaori-san in her current state, that was all the more reason for him to be there. But now he's missing.
No way. That's just...
We'll go check to be sure. Lead the way.
Okay. Taiba, are you awake?
Haru knocked on the door and tried to open it, but it was locked, meaning it wasn't touched. Tai-san came out sooner than later. She looked pretty displeased to begin with, but upon seeing me, she displayed outright disgust. What are you doing here? Sorry. Kaori-san isn't well, and we needed more people. Where's Takumi? We're going to check on him. I see. Her gloomy expression told me she'd realized what might have happened. She said she had to prepare, so we excused ourselves. Please ask if you need anything. Oh yes, of course. She shut the door on us. You're nice to all women, aren't you? What the hell was she saying? Being considerate of elders and women is the gentlemanly thing to do.
Is that how you feel about Tiene?
I like her quite a lot.
Please don't. I'd feel so bad for Nitang.
Nitang? Yasunaga-kun, surely. What do you mean by that?
Yoshika and Mochi are gone. Kaori-san and Tiene are all he has left. Also, she's the strongest among us, and she's always protected us from the people of Kami Fujiyoshi and adults. Don't take her away from us.
So that's how it was. I wasn't sure how she actually felt about Tiemi, but there was definitely more trust and reliance than I'd expected. Yasunaga-kun spoke like he'd given up on Tiemi, but deep down, he was actually glad she had returned. Haru-chan was aware of that, and she actually liked Tiemi. That was why she concluded that they should be together. However, it was clear that she didn't feel like giving them her blessing. I understand how you feel. The end result depended on Tiemi, and since she hated Yasumizu, I felt like it wouldn't be something Haru-chan wanted. Then again, I really didn't know what was going on in Tiemi's head either, and I had no idea who'd survive, so making predictions was a waste of time. For now, everyone should focus on ending the feast. I don't think I can do much, but if there's something you don't want to tell your own, I'm willing to listen.
Huh? What do you mean?
Nothing much. Just feels like you have a lot to worry about. And personally, I still think that escaping outside is a good idea.
That's not possible.
Didn't you try it yourself?
But I failed, didn't I? That made me realize we can't escape.
Isn't that just because you happened to hurt your foot?
It didn't just happen.
Do you believe in God, too?
What did you just say? God doesn't exist. If I doubted that, I couldn't cope with anything.
There was a weird aura around her for a sec, but then she walked away, leaving me no choice but to follow her. There we go. Yasunaga told us he bowed out already. We're not in violation of bro code by pursuing Tiemi, and she made the first move on us. So...
Ba.
We arrived at the houses. The mysterious girl was on the verge of crying. Good morning. What's wrong?
Ba. Speak normally. You know how to, right?
Come on, be more mature. Repeat after me. Good morning.
Ba.
This was hopeless. Haru-chan glared at her while I stayed patient. Where's Rikako-san?
One-chan.
Yeah, where is she?
She hasn't come out.
Her house is right here. It really was. I'd been here yesterday. I knocked and called out to her. There was no response. Haru-chan and I looked at each other and tried opening the door. Huh? It was locked. Rikako-san. Still no response. I hesitantly put my ear against the door. I heard some sort of rustling sound. She's probably getting dressed.
Then he really did.
We don't know for sure. It could still be Kyonosuke-shi. What about me? Well, I did expect him to live. Is Rikako-san well? She's all you care about, isn't she? And yes, she does seem alright. She's not out yet, though. I wonder what's up. I had a bad feeling about something. Good to see it was nothing. Does this mean that the one to die was Lady Yamawaki?
Taiba was alive.
What? Why was he so positive? Haru-chan, take Meiko to the dining hall. Kyonosuke-san, help me out. He tried to say something, but decided against it. He must have realized what had happened to the one who'd usually be given these annoying jobs. As expected, the door to his house was unlocked, and the reek of fresh blood was so strong you could smell it outside. I thought that was enough to help me prepare. But once I saw the source, I couldn't keep down what few contents my stomach had left. The two from the first day, Kanzo Makishima and Yoshitsugu Oribe, they'd lost all semblance of form to the point that their corpses felt unrealistic. On the other hand, Chikamochi Kamochira and the old wolf guy's corpses were far too clean. Their faces were still intact, after all. However, Takumi Muro's corpse was an even balance between ruined and intact. It was spread out on the floor, surrounded by splashes and splotches of blood, as well as some bloody footprints. Scattered brain, gray matter, bone fragments, eyes. About 60% of his face was gone. This time the method was clear. There was a rifle lying right next to his corpse. The weapon was actually on the scene for once, and it was a gun. What did it mean? I wanted to think about that, but I was too shaken by the clear agony Takumi-san's death had brought him. You could see his suffering on the still present half of his face. His hands were on his head, too, as if to cover his face or reach for the clearly fatal wound. He died while holding on to his shattered brain. Though fatal, the first attack hadn't killed him instantly. He could still move after it, which was a testament to his strength and willpower. His life had ended as he suffered overwhelming despair. It was written all too clearly on his death visage. My emotions bubbled and overwhelmed my thoughts, and I vomited once again. Are you okay? Kyonosuke asked, clearly avoiding looking at it himself. Bring me someone who can use guns, please. I never expected you to come along. Her expression was too stern and serious for me to even say that.
Takumi-ni-chan? Shit!
She cursed and looked at the gun.
This is Kanzo-ji-chan's rifle.
She grasped its long body and picked it up.
All the 5 bullets were fired. See any empty cartridges?
I'll look around. I found them real quick. They were covered in blood and flesh, but yeah, I found the metallic cylinders. 5 of them. They were 2 meters away from the corpse, very close to one another. Either the culprit fired from there or gathered them afterwards.
Look at the handle.
Tiemi extended the rifle to me. I did it as I was told. Compared to the rest of the gun, which had blood on every part, the handle was clean, like it had been wiped. They removed the fingerprints?
Probably.
Tiemi held it like she was about to shoot and aimed at Takumi-san's body.
It was fired from here.
How can you tell?
The way the blood scattered. See how it's concentrated around there? It's proof the culprit fired from a low angle. Also, normal rifles can't make such a large mess unless they're fired from really close. But make it point blank and the stuff would get on and around the muzzle. The rifle would be even dirtier. And that was why it was natural to think it had been fired from where she was standing, near the cartridges. Can you actually aim and hit something with this? As long as you know how to aim and the target isn't moving. That's all you need. So this was done by someone who knows how to use guns. By the way, it's just a matter of looking at the bead through the sight. Guns are useful little toys that make murder so easy anyone can do it. We need to, put that in a commercial. Damn, Tammy. What about loading? That doesn't seem like something a layman can do, is it? Good point. But even Tayabata has experience firing a gun. Finding the culprit in Yasumizu won't be easy.
This was a settlement where the people went hunting. Basically, everyone here must have touched rifles before. All we could really assume was that Meiko-chan couldn't have done this.
And it's not like every bullet hit the head. One grazed the ear, one hit the chest, one hit the shoulder. Oh, and look here, a bullet hole.
She pointed at a small part of the floor that was ruined. So, only one hit the head.
Yeah, I think that one wasn't fatal though. It was probably the one in the chest that ended it.
She looked at the body's pose and made the same conclusion as me. Why do you know so much about guns anyway?
I have a hunting license. I know how to use guns, traps, and nets. I used to do a lot of skeet shooting outside of Yasumizu. I'm pretty good with a gun.
Well, damn. Didn't expect that.
I can understand why.
Did you plan to return here and become a hunter?
I just wanted to have a gun. That's it.
She said that as if it were no big deal. Her tone seemed kind of dangerous.
Yes, so much so that she almost killed someone. I think it happened in middle school. I grabbed a bat and beat up some students who were bullying the Yasumizu kids.
It was the impression you'd get from a girl capable of random acts of violence. I was probably jumping to conclusions, though. Can we clean it up now?
If you're fine with it.
Let's do it then.
Did you find out anything?
I'm now 100% certain that these murders were committed by people. The culprit used a gun and wiped off the fingerprints, acts that demonstrated a very human level of cunning. If we were up against something supernatural, they'd just use their mysterious powers instead. If something mysterious can be explained using mundane means, then it was caused by mundane means. That was a general rule I lived by, proven through both knowledge and first-hand experience. Supernatural powers that required carrying out occult rituals were prime examples of things it applied to. The more detailed the preparation required, the more opportunities to notice something amiss. If the trick relied on concealing the method, it was safe to assume the method was something mundane. Even this death wasn't caused by some kind of supernatural force. It just happened unobserved. We had people who could do it and the methods that fit. That was the best way to look at it, right?
Maybe you're right.
You agree?
I do think that it was done by people I know, by actual humans.
But didn't that go against her whole God story? I wanted to ask that, but seeing her eyes made me fall silent. Her eyes were wide and cloudy.
But
her lips let out clear words.
No one.
I looked away. I probably wanted to cover my ears, too. There we go. She can catch and cook her own food? Marry us already.
Can escape God.
That was not a good place to pause to read chat, so I apologize. I found her words so irrational it began to frighten me. I asked Chiami to call Kyonosuke to help carry the corpse, but she insisted on doing it herself. I caved, and we began the unpleasant task. Following Takumi-san's example, I removed the door and placed his body on it. Chiami and I each took an end of the door and lifted it up. He was as heavy as he looked, and I wouldn't have been surprised if this was too much for even two men. However, Chiami lifted her side without letting out a single grunt of exertion. It felt like active rejection of the idea that she might need help. We slowly began walking. Kyonosuke was outside. He was anxious about something. It didn't look like he was waiting for us, but maybe Rikako and Matsu hadn't come out yet? I couldn't afford to stop and chat. Relaxing my arms or lower body could lead to me dropping Takumi-san. I kept walking forward without a single word. Sighing and stopping was our sign that one of us needed to rest. Every time one of us did it, we lowered him to the ground, rubbed our aching hands, adjusted our grips, and resumed walking. As we approached the cliff, Tiami's expression grew darker.
Takumi-san was the youngest of the adults. He was like an older brother to me.
I wasn't going to ask how that mattered. I didn't see a point in questioning it. I simply nodded, continuing to play the role of audience.
He played with me a lot, and always protected me when the other adults got mad at me. There's nothing good about this human place, but he loved Yasumitsu and the people living here.
Yeah, I could tell.
He was honest to a fault.
Yeah?
I don't want to just throw him away.
Of course you don't. I don't like this either. Should we stop? The only ones who'd really care about this are Takumi-san himself and Taya-san, right?
No. We gotta do this.
Because of the corruption?
Yeah.
I continued asking if she was sure, but she didn't change her mind, so we ended up throwing his body into Saranaga. This seems like a fantastic way to pollute the water source, by the way. Like, I don't know, man. We walked through the graveyard, careful not to trip. We could now see the hanging pine through the mist. Our destination was near. We carefully closed in on the cliff and pushed the door toward it.
Bye, Takumi-ni-chan.
She said that right as I felt the body slide off. It was falling. I'd done this several times now, but it still made me feel empty. It would eventually hit the water, make a splash, and that'd be it. Huh? Did you hear the water?
Not sure.
Did we both miss it somehow?
Or maybe the bottom of Saranaga opened up into a yawning chasm leading to Yomi.
You've got quite the imagination.
No one knows what's beyond the mists. There could be anything out there.
Should I go down and take a look?
You won't return.
That was how she saw the world. Let's go back. We returned to do another investigation of Takumi-san's house, but something strange had happened while we were gone. Kiyonosuke was still in the same spot, in front of Rikako Uematsu's house, waiting for her without even trying to hide his frustration. She still hasn't come out? No, you're the one who said she seemed alright. What made you think that? I heard sounds.
Why didn't you call out to her yourself instead of just waiting?
As if I could do something so rude.
Why is she the only one you're nice to? Nosato is above Uematsu, isn't it?
That was an interesting bit of info. I hadn't realized that the head families had a hierarchy. It's only natural to be considerate of women. I'm a woman too, though. I don't see a reason to be considerate of someone so hostile towards me. Do you? Please stop. We just finished putting a body to rest. That was probably one of the reasons why they were so agitated, but my comment was enough to shut them up. Though, yes, I'm worried too. She might need help if she's sick or injured. We may have no choice but to barge in. How improper. Was he the type of guy to report someone who undressed a girl to have her proper first aid? What was up with this guy to give her proper first aid? What was up with this guy's priorities? Uematsu-san! Nikako Uematsu-san! I bashed the door almost violently. I heard the sound of rustling clothes. Had she collapsed or something? Uematsu-san! I'm opening the door! No answer again, only sounds. Was it really Nikako Uematsu in there? Let's break it down. Chiami nodded, while Kiyonosuke gave a disgruntled sigh. The door was made from thin plywood and a wooden frame. A solid impact would break through. I looked around and saw a few aged farming tools lying against some houses. The old wooden hoe and mallet were too rotten to work here. But the old axe looked just right. 1, 2... I lifted the axe and started counting, but had to stop midway. There was the sound of clattering. The door suddenly moved. Surprised, I jumped backwards and glanced at the other two. They were just as shocked, if not frightened.
What's that?
What do you mean? It has to be Rikako-san. Uematsu-san. There was no response at first, but a few seconds later the door shook again. A moment later, it felt silent once more. Had she collapsed on the door? If she wasn't well and was lying next to the door, breaking it open was dangerous. I put the axe down and walked up to the door again. The moment I approached it, I heard a clicking sound. I didn't even have time to question what had happened before it creaked open. There was a gap of about 20 centimeters. It was pitch black inside. And there was a face all covered in blood. It sunk back into the darkness the very next moment, but it was soon replaced by an inhuman scream and an arm that snaked out and grabbed for my neck. The grip had inhuman strength behind it. I ignored Chiami and Kiyonosuke's screams and tried to pry myself free. My throat was on the verge of crushing. The groans continued ceaselessly. The nails dug into my neck, and I was being dragged inside. Help! How the hell was she so strong? This arm clearly belonged to Nikako Uematsu, so why... Help me! My words got them out of their stupor, and they ran up to me. As panic and lack of oxygen dimmed my vision, they grabbed, bashed, and tugged the arm that was holding on to me. Damn it. Hey, let go! Just one finger. I don't know how long it took, but when I was eventually freed, Chiami swiftly slammed the door shut. Bring something I can use to bar the door, Like what?
Ugh, just shove the axe in it.
Sitting on the ground in shock, I simply stared at their exchange. I could still barely breathe, my vision was hazy, and I couldn't think clearly. Something was inside trying to get the door open and possibly escape. What it was, though, I had no idea. What had happened to Nikako Ematsu?
How about this? Nosato-san, hold it shut. I'll bring the others and we'll barricade it. Haruaki-san, are you alright? Can you stand?
Yeah. Actions were more important than words here. Stealing my resolve, I rose to my feet. There we go, we just have to bite her hand. Show it who's boss. We gathered everyone who could still move and sealed off Nikako Ematsu's door and windows with planks, nails, large farming tools, and whatever else we could find. The small house was basically a pile of flimsy barricades now. Everyone was tired from all the work and sat down to rest. What's the point of doing this, though? Someone asked. We could still hear groans and crashing sounds from the inside. No one answered the question, but we all understood that letting that thing out would be a mistake. But what exactly was it anyway? Yomibito. That seemed like an answer of some sort, anyway.
What do you mean?
Corrupted folk that come from Yomi. You know, don't you? Has to be a Yomibito, that.
That's not what I mean. Yomibito are the wolves, right? They came back to life because of their grudge over being killed at the feast.
It's not always like that, Hadi-chan. Yasumizu has always been menaced by Yomibito. Or maybe this is the corruption. Uematsu-sama might have broken an important law. That can't be. Protecting the laws is the role of the purifying spider family. But that might be it. She touched too much of the corruption. But that's... She might have come to Yasumizu to keep at least a bit of the Yomi's corruption away. How many Yomibito will we have now? Takumi was a good boy. Maybe it's a good thing he died before seeing hell. Thus, I offer homage to Shinai the Almighty, so peace may come to pass. Thus, I offer homage to Shinai the Almighty, so peace may come to pass. A silent prayer. Her eyes were teary, and her shoulders were shaking. Wait, then Nikako-san is... Yomibito must be hanged. That didn't sit right with me. The rule was that breaking the laws meant getting the corruption, and getting the corruption meant being slaughtered, right? It was the first time I'd heard that it was possible to do something about the corruption, and that she'd die because of that. Logic had little ground here, so the people were gradually losing their minds. They were being pushed closer to death. It was like this was a supernatural phenomenon.
Is anyone hungry? I've already calmed down, so we can do the rest after you have calmed down as well.
It was a very attractive suggestion. As we all turned away and returned to the dining hall, I felt like Nikako Ematsu let out a groan even more inhumanly loud than any of those before. Once we arrived, the place was dominated by a heavy silence. There were sounds coming from the kitchen. A kitchen knife rhythmically hit the cutting board as Kaori-san prepared the food. Tai-san was seated away from everyone, desperately yet fluently chanting a sutra. Combined with the kitchen sounds, it had a mind-numbing effect. Everyone else was simply falling into a torpor, staring silently into space. Even I, the sanest person in the room, thank you, wanted to simply let my mind shut down and stop thinking. That wouldn't stop me from trying, though. Rather than trying to evaluate the details, I decided to return to square one and summarize the current situation. Takumi-san was dead. That left me, Tiemi, the two Oribe, Hyonosuke-shi, Taiyama-waki-shi, Meiko, Nikako Ematsu, and Haru Makishima, a total of 9. And Nikako Ematsu. I didn't want to say she'd become a Yomibito or something, but it was clear that she was in a condition that left her functionally useless. Normally, the right thing to do here would be to take her to a hospital, but instead they were going to discuss killing her. I'd probably have to remind them of the sound course of action. Whatever the case, if you ignored Nikako Ematsu and I, only 7 people were participating in the feast. With Takumi-san's death, we would never know what the snake had found out about Haru Makishima. Therefore, the only confirmed people were Kyonosuke-shi, a human, and Meiko, a monkey. And personally, I thought I could trust Tiemi, so that made 3. That left 4 others. This was bad. I wonder if Tiemi understood that. I had to talk to her in private.
Where's One-chan?
We'd kept Meiko away from all that had happened this morning, so she was still in the dark about Rikako-san. She's not feeling too good. Leave her in peace.
Okay. Hey, can I go outside?
Isn't it dangerous?
I'll look after her. She'll be safe if she stays close.
The two left.
Yasunaga. What? There is something I want you to fetch.
I'm going to use the bathroom. More and more people left. They probably didn't feel comfortable standing up until now. Taya-san just continued chanting, though. It was like she lived in another world. Besides her, all that was left was Haru-chan. The way she constantly shifted in her seat made it clear she felt uncomfortable. Sorry about Takumi-san. I tried talking to her.
Yeah. Tiene always relied on him.
What about Rikako Ematsu-san?
I didn't like her. She creeped me out.
Tiami-san seemed fine with her, though.
That's 'cause she's strong.
When did Uematsu-san arrive here?
2 or 3 years ago? Not recently, at least.
That seemed like plenty of time to get to know a person, if you asked me. Or maybe not. Yasumizu's people had been suffering at the hands of the village heads for generations. Of course they couldn't just accept her. I hear she's one of the village heads, but what kind of family are the Uematsu anyway?
What do you even want to know? How many times do we have to tell you that you're an outsider and should just stay out of all of this?
Oh, sorry. That was insensitive of me. Let's talk about something else then, alright? Oops, sorry. Hit the wrong button.
Fine.
I looked around. As I saw Yasunaga-kun walk upstairs, I lowered my voice and asked, "What was Mochi to you?"
Why are you asking?
To make up for his lack of funeral.
Huh?
In funerals, you talk about the people who passed away, right? I remember hearing that that gives their souls peace.
This is unexpected.
What is?
I thought you were cold and heartless. I didn't think I'd hear something about peace in the afterlife from you.
Well, that was just rude.
Mochi was an Osato, but he never acted like he was better than anyone. He was weird and as much of a troublemaker as Tiene, but he never hurt anyone. Everyone said he wasn't right in the head, but I didn't think so. He was really funny. I think he would have been really popular if he appeared on TV. He was 1 year older than me, but he treated me like someone his own age. I always had tons of fun with him. He got along really well with Nitan, too.
He did?
Yeah, they were always together, and they were like a pair of heroes in school. They got along so well that sometimes I felt lonely with them.
Her visage dimmed. Visage? I felt like she was easier to understand than most. If Mochi had really liked her, it must have been a tough love. She hadn't even looked at him in that regard, and being with Yasunaga-kun even made him a target of her jealousy. But he's gone now. Yasunaga-kun must feel terrible.
Yeah.
Why not help him out? Yasunaga-kun was going up the stairs again. I gestured at him with my chin.
Huh?
He's doing something for his mom, and Tiami-chan's outside. I don't think you can replace Mochi, and Tiami-chan's probably the best person for the job. But even if they are the ones who will make the final decision, there's no reason to hold yourself back in the meantime, right? You want to help him, don't you?
Yeah. You too?
Well, Tiami gave me way more than just a meal and a place to stay. I won't say I don't have any ulterior motives, but more than that, I just want to support her. She seems to be suffering at the hands of things I can't even comprehend.
Yeah. I think I misunderstood you.
I can't blame you. You going?
Yeah. I still need to apologize for yesterday.
Then I'll go outside too. I know, we got really mature all of a sudden, and, what, like 6 people had to die just for that? We stood up at the same time. Though Harutan was always on edge, deep inside, she was a really honest girl. I worried that she'd fall victim to some scumbag like me down the road.
Oh,
What?
maybe you really should run away. Never mind. Forget I said anything.
She cut herself short and hurried upstairs. Apparently, I'd gained some of her trust, but it didn't look like I could get anything more useful than that bit of advice. Unlike the other inhabitants, she just believed that escape was possible. That was why she'd tried to do it yesterday. That might have been the extent of it.
So, who do you suspect?
Harutan and Yasunaga-kun. I walked up to Chiemi, who was looking after Meiko, and we started a conversation.
I can understand Harutan, but Yasuka?
We have four suspects: Tai-san, Kaori-san, and them. He was the only one out of those who was outside when Mochi died yesterday. And considering how cunning the wolves are, I can't imagine it being anyone but him.
He's that devious?
Yeah. Really? Why did Takumi-san die today?
Huh? What do you mean? He was obviously killed by the wolves.
That's not what I'm asking.
Huh? What do you mean? Oh, I think I get it. Because the spider didn't protect him.
Right. The spider is probably already dead.
Huh? Oh, wait.
When you think about it, on the first day, Takumi-san was protected by the spider. And yesterday, no one actually said that the spider should protect someone else, right?
Yeah.
That means that the spider once again protected Takumi-san. He's way too valuable. At least that's what should have happened if the spider was still alive.
Well, that's true. Since the feast started, the ones who died before Takumi-san were Kanzo-san, Yoshitsugu-kun, Mochi, and the old man who cried wolf.
One of these four was the spider. The wolves realized this, killed him, and then went for Takumi-san. That's the only logical explanation.
Huh? Aren't you overthinking it? What if they just assumed that the spider was gone because 4 people died?
That's the optimistic take. But if we're actually dealing with someone clever, underestimating them would be a fatal mistake.
But how'd they find out who the spider is?
You're too loud.
Huh?
It's nothing, Meiko-tan.
Hmm.
She resumed scribbling on the ground. She was completely absorbed in it for some reason. I think it's likely that the wolves guessed who was the spider.
But how?
You told me that on the first day, Kanzo-san let Yasunaga-kun talk for most of the feast, and only made the final decision, right? He looked like more of a proactive type to me. I doubt he'd agree to not hang anyone on the first day.
Well, that's true, but what about it?
If he'd spoken up and taken the initiative, he could have easily controlled the situation, and most of his decisions would have been good calls. That's why he was such a good target for the wolves. That's what we thought, right?
That's true, but we also thought the same about Yasuku.
On the other hand, if you're a wolf, you have no chance of becoming a target for the wolves. It's more dangerous for them to not say anything important and look suspicious. Giving away harmless info, for one, is way better. That's the clever thing to do, don't you think?
But how's that related to Kanzo Jitan keeping his silence?
Well, this is all speculation, but I think he kept quiet to avoid calling attention to himself so the wolves wouldn't target him. Why would he do that? Because he felt that his survival was intrinsically linked to that of the others. Because
he had a guardian?
Yeah, and it was probably the spider.
Why are you so confident?
The spider is the most vulnerable participant in the feast. After all, the one person they can't protect is themselves. But as long as his identity was hidden, he had the possibility of making the wolves waste a night. That was probably why he tried not to stand out, but it worked against him and attracted the wolves' attention. He of all people is quiet? He must have an amazing guardian and all that. That led the wolves to taking him out on the first day, and then taking out Takumi-san, now defenseless, on the second.
I know that's just speculation, but I kind of feel you're right.
Even if that was planned by the enemies, it's best to assume that the anomalies, too, have all been shortcuts for the wolves.
What do you mean?
Too many people died outside of the rules. Yoshitsugu-kun, Mochi, the old wolf guy, and Nikako Uematsu, she's effectively dead now. To the wolves, unplanned deaths are a good thing. The less feasts they have to survive, the lower the chance they'll be hanged. Then what if they planned for these people to die?
I see your point, but how could they pull it off?
They could tell Yoshitsugu-kun to walk around outside at night, basically sending him to the corruption. I don't know the motive behind Mochi and the wolf guy's deaths, but it all makes sense if they were killed by Nikako Uematsu.
What?
Tai-san talked about the Uematsu's role and thought she fell to the corruption because of it, but there's a more reasonable explanation. If she killed the two, she'd have broken the feast rule of one person per day and become a target of the corruption. I put aside the idea that there were apparently two types of corruption, slaughter and madness. But
How? Did you see the clothes she wears? She wouldn't have the time to change. And there's no way she could have won against two men, right?
Then how about this? Motir, the wolf guy, killed the other, and the one who survived was killed by her. She became the target of the corruption for drawing the blood of a second person in one day. I don't know about the clothes, but it could be solved by a large apron or something. We can't say it's impossible until we verify it.
But even a single guy sounds like too much for her.
One of them was senile, though. Or maybe they were weakened from trying to kill each other?
Kill? What? How could you think something like that?
Again, it's all just speculation. I don't even know the motive, but it does make sense.
But how is that related to the wolves' conspiracy?
I don't know the motive here either, but if they knew her weakness or something, they could have goaded her into killing them. Or maybe she was a wolf herself. Chiemi was at a loss for words. I had no choice but to continue myself. She could have hastened the whole process to give the other wolf an advantage.
I really doubt that. Getting themselves killed would be really bad for the wolves.
True. Considering the number of wolves and humans, losing one wolf to take out two humans isn't a good deal. But there was no guarantee that everyone would realize that. Not everyone acts logically. There's lots of illogical stuff going on, and predicting their effects is impossible.
No, I don't want to hear that.
But you can't give up, can you?
I don't want to think anymore.
Sorry, I said too much.
Don't worry.
I'm the one who should be sorry, but
yeah, this is a bit hard for me.
I really don't think you people need to keep playing along with this. I'll help you escape if you want.
We can't. I just know that if you're born here, you're fated to die here.
That's just a baseless delusion.
Someone who can't see God would never understand.
Yeah, I won't. How troubling. It really was troubling. If this was some tabletop fun for the whole family game, I'd have already punched the GM and left. But lives were actually on the line here. Not just my own, but also that of someone I kind of liked. We'd made it this far, yet she was uncooperative. Maybe I was going about this wrong. Maybe if I wanted to save her life, I had to start by saving her from the darkness within. Or maybe from the unidentified supernatural phenomenon that was binding her. Though that didn't seem like something that could be done in just 3 or 4 days. Still, I'd struggle till the very end. I couldn't participate in the feast myself, so I had no choice but to leave it to Tiemi. I didn't say anything more to her, I just chose to believe she'd overcome her inner conflict soon. Meanwhile, Miako's drawing had grown so large it felt like she would just get lost in the mist. Hey! I left Tiemi and went to Miyako.
Ah!
She waved at me. Good thing she was kind of used to me now. What are you drawing?
Those are guardians.
Guardians? One drawing showed a warped circle with a line just as strange going through it. But I could see what it was. It looked much like the Higuchi family crest I saw in the dining hall. There were 4 of them, apparently. The others were hard to differentiate. Oh, that whirling drawing was the same as the one on the stone. The symbol of the Yomotsu Omikami. I see. Shinai-sama's guardians. Did One-chan teach them to you?
Yeah,
What about these? They're not guardians, are they?
they're cattle.
I certainly wasn't expecting to hear such a vivid word from a girl about 4 years old. Animals, huh?
Yeah, this is a cow.
Mm-hmm.
This is a donkey.
Ah.
This is a pig.
Ah. The ground wasn't the best canvas and the little girl wasn't the best artist. All I could really tell was that they all had 4 legs. And this is...
Me.
It had 4 legs, though. Well, whatever. And this? It's bigger than the others.
A wolf.
A light chill went down my spine. Huh? Why a wolf?
Because the wolf is coming.
Huh? The wolf is coming. That was like...
Because the wolf is coming, I had to run far, far away.
Hold on, Meiko-chan. You know the wolf?
I haven't met him, but I know he's scary.
Is this the same wolf as we have here?
Huh?
Where's the snake and the monkey?
I don't know.
What does the wolf do?
Eat the cattle?
Eat?
Yeah, they said the horse was eaten.
Apparently this had nothing to do with Fujiyoshi's legend. I had no idea if this was from a picture book or her imagination, but there were barely any links between the stories. Or maybe I was rushing to conclusions. Who told you this story?
It really happened.
Where then?
Far away.
Far away, huh?
I've been walking for so long.
Well, didn't look like I could get any details from her. If far away referred to the land of myth, and it actually had truths regarding Fuzuyoshi's legend that weren't told here, what the hell was I thinking? Land of myth? How stupid. I should have just calmed down and filed it under more info that made no sense to me. There we go.
No, this is a different wolf. I think his name is like Hackett or something.
I see. It must have been hard.
I'm hungry.
Same here. Let's go back.
Okay.
As we turned around, I saw Tammy stand up in the mist again and hesitantly beckon us. Looks like the food's ready. Kyonosuke was standing at the entrance to the dining hall, wearing a gloomy expression. He was never particularly vigorous, but now his visage was haggard, and he wasn't as nearly as arrogant as before. I couldn't blame him. The only person he was friendly, flirtatious, to was Rikako Uematsu was in an awful state. Also, despite all he'd said, he'd actually relied on Takumi-san. They seemed to be close in terms of age, too. And from what I've heard, he never really said anything wrong. The only problem was his insensitive choice of words. The feast was a communication game. Even if you were right about something, it didn't matter much if you couldn't convince anyone. Thank you very much. Still, he was one of the mere two confirmed humans. Treating him badly and making him upset wouldn't help at all. I had to be courteous. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hungry, aren't we, Meiko-san? Tammy had calmed down a bit. I'd already told her my suspicions. I had to hope she handled the feast well. All that was left now was to get some nutrients to support my hard-working brain. Right? There we go. Tammy's calling everyone else to dinner, but she's beckoning us specifically.
I'm sorry I couldn't prepare anything better.
She ladled what appeared to be rice gruel from the large pot. It was a thick white soup with vegetables, rice, and something brown inside.
Game meat?
Is it fermented?
Yes. The fresh meat was spoiled.
Tammy-tung? I whispered to her. What do we do?
What do you want to do?
We were talking about the thing where I had to avoid the local food. You know what? I'll stick to my diet until the end this time.
Okay, thanks.
What did I mean by this time? Did I think I had another life or something? It was fine. It wasn't as like I was cool with dying, just on the off chance I got a second shot. Dying wasn't an acceptable option. I wasn't about to compromise on that. There's no point in walking around, so I'll just wait here.
All right. You're not going to eat?
I have a bunch of allergies.
It's because you young'uns don't eat proper. You won't become strong if you don't have a balanced diet.
Hey, I was lying, but telling actual allergy sufferers that they should just eat and they'd be cured was actual murder. Well, there were some efforts to cure allergies by carefully injecting allergens via vaccine, but that was a subject for the doctor. Anyway, going back to the dorm by myself was dangerous, since they'd suspect me, so I just waited in the corner of the room, still hungry. Where are Yasunaga-kun and Haru-tan?
Still upstairs? Don't mind them. Your food will get cold. More!
I'll go call them. I went up the stairs, and when I reached the second floor, I stopped for a moment. I heard some rustling. Was it possible they'd gotten that intimate in just a few minutes? Was I about to ruin the mood? Well, food was important too. I said, to get their attention, and slowly went up, making sure I was loud enough for them to hear me coming. It's lunchtime. Oh, Yasunaga-kun.
Hello.
The room was full of stuff. It was a huge mess. You looking for something? No luck, huh?
Yes, I was told there was a new apron in the attic, but we couldn't find it there, so we were checking other places too.
So that was it.
Did you see?
Huh?
Could you not tell anyone about this?
Well, I did come up carefully, but it's not like I saw anything I shouldn't have.
Uh, uh, uh,
Were you going at it?
what are you saying?
I'm kidding. I know you wouldn't do something like that at a time like this. Of course we wouldn't.
Yeah.
Really now? I was still kind of worried. Anyway, why not take a break and get some food? They didn't argue. As we prepared to go back, there was a loud noise from downstairs. Uh-oh. There we go. At least Haruaki is an ableist. He's a lot of other things, but not ableist.
What?
Yasunaka-kun and I looked at each other and then ran out of the room without saying a word. They were absolutely kissing, and I am so happy for Haru-chan. We were met with a strange scene. I instantly realized what had happened and who was responsible. Kiyonosuke was wearing a furious expression, his shoulders shaking. There was a shattered plate of rice gruel at his feet. The contents were still steaming. He was facing Kaori Oribe-san, who was standing completely still. Did he throw his food to the floor? Was it that bad? No way, this was clearly something way bigger than that.
What's gotten into you?
Chiamiya and the others didn't seem to understand either. They shifted uneasily. What? Wolfsbane. The plant. There's aconite in the food. What?
Meiko-chan, did you eat any? Not yet. What about the rest of you?
Hold on, I am so lost. Is that true? Look at those leaves. They shine. The other side isn't white, and the tip is pointy. They smell different, too. This isn't mugwort or windflower. You're right. It's wolfsbane. You used wild plants, Mom?
Yes. That was close. What a mistake. Someone almost got poisoned.
She wants to kill us.
Huh? Wait, it was just a mistake. That's it. Don't be so
Haru-chan stopped talking when she realized the suspect was acting strange. Kaori-san was staring right at Kiyonosuke, not moving an inch, and smiling. She was completely glaring him down.
Yes.
That response was so delayed we had no idea what it was for. When Kiyonosuke backed away a bit, his expression shifted from rage to fear. Mom?
You should all die!
As she stood there, wailing madly, she brandished a knife. She was hardly moving quickly. But the sight of the blade had stunted our reflexes. I'd seen some bizarre corpses here. I'd bore witness to what pure malice could do. But still living, blatant malevolence, killing intent was intense enough to paralyze everyone present. I barely registered the scene unfolding before me. Staggering a bit, the woman passed the counter. The sharp knife was still green with something, likely shavings of aconite. She raised her voice and aimed her poisoned weapon at the nearest target, Kiyonosuke-san. Do we want to tackle her or find a nearby weapon? We get a choice. Exactly. Unfortunately for the two lovers, this is a horror game, and everyone knows that the first people to die in horror are usually the ones who have sex. So that doesn't bode well for them. But they're cute. I'm rooting for them. All right, what do we want to do? I mean, I feel like tackling her is a really good way to get a knife in us. Let's find a weapon. Okay. I had no idea why my body began to move. I grabbed the nearest chair without even thinking about it. It was old and wooden and heavy. Picking it up made me lose my balance for a bit. I pointed its legs at the would-be murderer and dashed forward as fast as I could. A crash, a cry of pain, a scream. Amidst the cacophony, I attempted to keep Kaori-san pinned down. I pressed the edge of the chair against her knife arm. She cried out in pain, and the blade clattered to the floor. Tiemi then quickly kicked it away. In hindsight, it all happened in a mere matter of seconds. In fact, tying her up was way harder, with her foaming at the mouth and struggling. In the end, we bound her limbs and gagged her to silence her bloodthirsty screams. With that done, we had no choice but to face reality. I know, like, I'm not gonna lie, losing Kiyonosuke would have not been the worst thing in the world. Okay, I know I'm probably not the best person to ask, but What do you even do about this? 6 of us stood in the mist set right outside the dining hall. Kaori-san was locked inside.
Ba?
She's also become a Yomibito.
No, that can't be. She's just not feeling well. I guess she was really pushing herself. Of course she was. Do you have any idea how important Yoshitsugu was to her? He was foolish, short-tempered, and annoying, but still. No, that's exactly why she treasured him so much. She often said that he was as reckless as his father. I'll take responsibility and calm her down myself. Please forgive her for the...
We should decide this at the feast.
Please wait. This is a personal outburst that has nothing to do with the feast. Keep her out of it.
How can you be so certain? She might have succumbed to the corruption.
No, Sato-san?
Everything in the mists has to be decided at the feast. Breaking that law risks falling victim to the corruption.
That's true. Very well. Let's go. No! Yasunaka-kun, she'll be killed! I won't let that happen. Husaishi-san, please look after her.
Not gonna lock me up again? No one replied. Apparently it didn't matter anymore.
Chiami-san. She was making the same face she did whenever she talked about God. I knew this would happen.
Strangely enough, there was emotion in her eyes. I could see 90% resignation and 10% fear. Watching me until she finally passed out of sight, she followed the others toward the hall. All right. And I think this is a good place to stop for tonight. So we will pick up, let's see. We will pick up at the feast. Next stream is Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. Maybe playing this, maybe playing some Danganronpa, since Lemur is still out. So I don't have any announcements. The Twitter link is below. You can see what we're playing. If we decide to do a special stream, whatever, you'll find it there. And then the YouTube channel is also below. And you can see any of our past games then. No worries on being late on Sunday. I hope whatever you're doing is fun. Yeah, that's all I got. Have a good night all. Wash your hands, wear your masks, get vaccinated, and we will be, or I'll at least be back on Sunday. Have a good night all. Bye.